Hi, I'm Helen from Heritage Organic Seeds, and today we're going to start the sow along for our Cabbage Cuor di Bue seeds, which were in our March subscription box. So Cuor di Bue is also known as ox heart cabbage, and it's just a really nice early maturing variety, which we are sure you are going to love growing this year. So let's get sowing. So as always, in your subscription box, you've received your insert, which has got some information about the variety, and on the back we have our sowing and growing instructions. So the instructions say that we need to warm up some compost before sowing our cabbage seeds. Now I probably sound like a broken record with this, but it's still so cold outside and we do not want to be sowing any seeds into freezing cold wet compost. So if you keep your compost outside like I do, just bring some compost indoors the day before you want to sow your seeds and just let that warm up to room temperature. So we can sow our seeds into small trays or modules. I'm going to use this module tray, and this is going to have all of the seeds from the March subscription box sown into here, apart from the basil, because I'm going to germinate that in the house. So I've just filled up the tray with compost, and then I'm just going to make a little dimple into the cells so that I can sow the seeds. And then we're just going to sow one seed per cell. So I'm going to do 2 rows of 7, and that just gives me a bit of insurance if there's any casualties. I don't particularly want seven cabbage plants right now, but we'll just grow them on and see how we go. If you want to direct sow your cabbage seeds, you'll want to do that from about May time. It's still a bit too early to do that now. So if you do want to hang on, don't worry, you've still got time to sow those later on. And then we're just going to cover those seeds with a very thin layer of compost. Try and avoid any clumps if you can, so it's helpful just to rub that between your fingers, and then lightly water with a fine spray from the rose on your watering can or hose pipe, and then pop the little plant label in. So we want to keep our seed trays at about 10 degrees Celsius, so I'm just going to keep mine in the greenhouse at home where I can keep an eye on them, and the seeds should germinate within about 2 weeks. So then we're just going to grow these on until they develop a set of true leaves, and at that point we're going to carefully transplant them out of these seed cells and pop them into individual pots. So I would probably go for about a 9 centimetre pot to start with, and then you can always gradually increase the pot size. So we're going to grow those on in their individual pots and keep them well watered, and when they've developed a few more sets of true leaves, we will look to transplant those into the ground, and that's probably going to be about May time, so do keep them well watered during that time. When we plant them out, we're going to plant them around 45 centimetres apart so that they've got space to grow, because cabbages can grow quite big. And as always with any seedling, we do recommend that you don't plant into the ground until you've hardened your seedlings off. So that just means you're going to have to bring them outside in the day, bring them inside or into the greenhouse in the evening, just to get them used to the different elements, different temperatures of the day. Even the wind, if you're growing your plants in the greenhouse, they are not going to experience wind like they would when they're outside. So just get them used to being outside before you put them into their final growing positions. And then we want to keep the growing area weed free for the rest of the season, but keep them well watered in the ground while they start to establish. Pigeons are going to love our brassicas though. They do love brassicas, as do the cabbage white butterflies. So once we transplant them into the ground, we are going to want to cover them just to try and prevent them getting munched away. So you'll just want to get some netting to cover your plants with, which will allow all the airflow and ventilation, but will just help to prevent those little pesky pests from munching away at your brassica leaves and destroying your plants. And then our cabbages should be ready to harvest and enjoy during the autumn. And to harvest, all we're going to do is cut the stems just below the head of the cabbage. I hope you've enjoyed this sew along video. If you have any questions at all, please do reach out. I'm always more than happy to help.